So I was thinking the other day just how easy life would be if we had magic. We could do things like reach the TV remote from across the room, reheat our morning coffee, or rip time and space apart to rebuild reality as I see fit. Anyways, as sad as it is, magic is only in our imagination. But we can still do more. That's what we have Dungeons & Dragons for. Many spells in D&D can be combined to have a much more powerful effect than initially intended, which is the focus of today's video. As of now, at this point in time, unless I rip space and time apart, who knows, I currently have 5 other videos like this, so if you're interested, I link those in the description for you to check out. But seeming as how reality has not been torn apart yet, let's go ahead and jump into the video. The first combo on our list is something that I like to call Timeout, and that is the combination of Shocking Grasp and Wall of Stone. Shocking Grasp is a cantrip where the caster makes a touch attack against a creature and it deals lightning damage based upon their level. Wall of Stone creates a literal wall of stone. Shocking, I know. Wait a minute. I didn't even mean that pun. Anyways, you can make Wall of Stone encase an enemy in essentially a stone dome, which is where I got the name Timeout from. However, if you create a wall around the creature, they can use their reaction to make a dexterity save to not be trapped. Now, you might be asking, what the heck is this? How is this a combo? Well, Shocking Grasp has another effect that not many people actually remember. If a creature is hit with this spell, they cannot take reactions until their next turn. And since attempting to move out of the stone wall requires a reaction, which they now don't have, this entirely negates the saving throw. So for any unfortunate soul caught in this combination, they get to relive their deep-seated childhood trauma. And for those of you saying, why can't they just break the wall? Well, it's not that simple. Wall of Stone creates 10 by 10 foot panels that are 6 inches thick, roughly about yay big, and you can stack those panels as you see fit. So you could effectively make a box, like a box, that has 2 panels of stone on each side, making an entire foot of stone in each side of the box. This is definitely not accurate representation of the depth, just go with me here. Anyways, that matters because this spell actually says each panel has an AC of 15 and HP of 30 per inch of thickness. So, if you double up the panels here, that means that each side of your stony prison has 360 health, making this the ultimate timeout box. And this is all possible thanks to a tiny little cantrip people always seem to forget about. Eldritch Blast who? Sorry. Never underestimate other cantrips, people, they are great. Moving on to the second combo for today, we have the Hexing Hand. This is the combo of Hex and Bigby's Hand. Hex is a level 1 spell that requires only a bonus action and allows your attacks to deal an extra d6 necrotic damage whenever you strike them. It also has another effect. You can choose an ability score of the affected creature, and it also gives them disadvantage on any ability checks made with that score. Save that little tidbit of knowledge because we're going to come back to that later. Bigby's Hand, on the other hand... Can't believe that took me... Oh my god. Whatever. Bigby's Hand is a 5th level spell that creates a giant freaking hand. If you've ever played Super Smash Bros., it's pretty much Master Hand. You pretty much summon a giant floating hand and you can control it to beat the snot out of whoever you want. However, the important part of this spell is that it has multiple different uses. Alongside doing anything that a giant floating spectral hand can do, it also has 4 different combat-oriented abilities. The one, however, that we're going to be focusing on today for the video is Grasping Hand. This allows Master Hand to effectively grapple a creature, and the hand has advantage on the target if the creature is medium or smaller size. To clarify, whenever a grapple attempt is made, it works as a contested check between the grappler and the grapplee. I'm not sure that's a word, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, the grappler, in this case the hand, uses strength, while the grapplee uses either dex or strength to combat the roll. However, what I failed to mention up until now is that the hand has a strength of 26, meaning that it has a +8 bonus to all grapple checks, not to mention the potential advantage it has if it's a medium or smaller creature. Now, do you remember that little nugget of knowledge I imparted on you earlier? Had you hexed the creature prior to this, then that creature has disadvantage on an ability score, which, if you just so happen to choose strength or dexterity, means they're likely going to struggle to break out of this grapple. Since it's not a saving throw and instead a contested check, the hex disadvantage does take effect. This not only means Master Hand likely has advantage on the contested check, but the grapplee also has a disadvantage. And since the grapplee needs to spend an action and attempt to break out of a grapple, it is highly likely that they will be stuck there until you willingly release them or they are a bloodied corpse. Oh, I also forgot to mention, while you're holding them like this, or grappling them rather I should say, you can also just deal an extra 2d6 damage plus your spellcasting ability mod each turn as a bonus action to crush them with the giant hand. That's terrible. I was gonna say sick, but then that actually sounds terrible. Oh my god, that's horrific. So, like the first combo, this is another example of a frequently forgotten spell being used in an incredibly effective manner. Moving on to the third combo, we have Scorching Spirits, which is the combo of Spirit Shroud and Scorching Ray. And before you ask, yes, I did come up with the name myself. Thank you very much. Spirit Shroud is a 3rd level spell that empowers your attacks you make within 10 feet of you to deal an extra d8 damage. Scorching Ray, on the other hand, is something you will all likely be familiar with. A 2nd level spell that makes 3 ranged attacks that each deal 2d6 per hit. And I think the synergy is pretty apparent with that information alone. If you pull this combo off, whenever you cast Scorching Ray within 10 feet of the enemy, you will deal 2d6 plus d8 per hit of the ray. Assuming you hit every ray, that is a whopping 6d6 plus 3d8 damage, which averages roughly out to about 30 damage. To put that into perspective, let's look at the average HP of a barbarian, the natural tanks of 5th edition D&D. Since you can technically get access to this combo at level 5, let's make it a level 5 barbarian. Now, considering the average HP of a level 5 barbarian with a +4 con modifier is 60 HP, you can deal half of a barbarian's total health pool in 1 round of combat. And that's just with average damage. Imagine if you had some good damage rolls along with that, and you can easily reach into the 40s and beyond. But anyways, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next combo. This one is something I like to call Chill Out, and it combines Freezing Sphere and Maelstrom. Freezing Sphere is a 6th level spell that creates a sphere of cold energy that explodes in a 60-foot radius sphere, dealing 10d6 cold damage on a failed save. And yes, before you say it, it is effectively a much larger, much more powerful fireball, but not a fireball, just a cold ball. Yeah. Anyways, this spell has the added effect of freezing any water it touches, and trapping any creature within that water in ice. And this is where Maelstrom comes into it. Now, if you've seen any of my past videos, you will know that I have a love for the spell Maelstrom, which burns hotter than something hot. Anyways, this spell creates a swirling pool of 5-foot deep water with a 30-foot radius. It also, as you may have guessed with it effectively being a whirlpool, counts as difficult terrain. Any creature unfortunate enough to get caught in this body of water better hope they're good swimmers, because if they find themselves in the center, they're likely not making it out. Creatures must make a strength saving throw or take 6d6 damage and be pulled 10 feet towards the center of the whirlpool. At this point, it's obvious to see where I'm going with this combo, but it gets better than you might think. Freezing Sphere says it freezes up to a 30-foot square up to 6 inches deep. Again, that's not the actual size. 6 inches on a ruler, not what I'm doing here. Anyways, Freezing Sphere states that it freezes a 30-foot square up to 6 inches deep. And since Maelstrom is a 60-foot circle in a 5-foot deep pool, it doesn't freeze the entirety of the Maelstrom. So, creatures caught in the Maelstrom can be frozen and still be taking damage from the Maelstrom, since the spell is technically going on as it is a concentration spell. And the best part of this combo is that it at least guarantees a creature is caught in the Maelstrom for a minimum of 2 rounds, assuming that creature doesn't have a movement speed of 120. Since it takes an entire action to break out of the ice, they can only use movement to attempt to move out of the Maelstrom, all while having to deal with the difficult terrain having movement and the consecutive strength checks to not be pulled back. Now I will say that this combo is much more effective against large groups of enemies or enemies that have low strength, as each of these effects do require strength saves or strength checks to break out of. But even still, this combo is incredibly effective and one of the coolest combos that I've listed to date. No pun intended, again with the unintentional puns. I need to stop doing that. And finally, our last combo for today's video is something that I like to call Ensnaring Specters. This combines the 3rd level spell Spirit Guardians and the 1st level spell Entangle. Spirit Guardians summon spirits which fly around you in a 15-foot radius. Any creature that moves into the area or starts their turn in that area must make a Wisdom saving throw or take 3d8 damage or half as much on a successful save. But the added bonus of this spell is that it halves creatures' movement speed within the area of effect, and that effect occurs regardless of whether or not they make the save. Pay attention to the verbiage here because it's actually important. It specifically states their movement speed is halved. Entangle, on the other hand, creates a 20-foot square of grasping vines. Creatures caught in this area must make a strength save or be restrained. You may see why this combo is so good at this point. You cast Entangle on your Cleric or Paladin who has Spirit Guardians up, and even if they get restrained, their Spirit Guardians are still dealing damage and slowing enemies. But that's not even the best part, because Entangle also creates difficult terrain. It specifically states their movement speed is halved. Well, we're going to talk about that now. Difficult terrain halves movement speed. Spirit Guardians halves movement speed. Get it? A creature with a 40-foot movement speed who is in difficult terrain only has a 20-foot movement speed in that terrain. But if in that terrain they are also being verbally abused by angry spirits, then their movement speed will yet again be halved, meaning that they only have 10 feet of movement within that area. That is just about as crazy as it gets in terms of controlling the battlefield. You simply throw a tanky paladin or a cleric up front, pull out this combo, and pretty much anything that comes near you will be practically unable to move. Let alone if you throw another spell on top, like, I don't know, maybe slow, those bad boys are not going anywhere. So just remember, whenever you're trying to come up with really cool combos you can pull out in your next D&D session, they don't have to all be crazy damage to be effective. Anyways, that is 5 spell combinations in D&D 5e. Quick reminder, I have made other videos like this in the past, so if you're interested, I linked them in the description for you to check out. Also, if you have any spell combos that you think are super cool that I didn't talk about or haven't talked about yet, let me know in the comment section below. I read every comment, reply to almost all of them, and who knows, I might even feature it in my next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on Friday. I can't turn because my chair's hitting my desk. There goes my dramatic exit.